Yo, welcome back to another episode of Theory, yo. I'm gonna do. I didn't do a video a week ago. I've been really busy working on like an EP, but I wanted to get something out this week, and I also want to preface with I'm gonna put my Patreon up today. Finally, I wanted to do a promo video for it, which I still will do, but I just got to get this thing up and running at this point. So if you don't know what Patreon is, it's a way for you to give back and give me monies because, well, I mean, you're getting information, so that's cool. You don't have to, but I'm definitely going to add more videos on the Patreon. I'll probably do more in-depth stuff. I think I'm going to start giving away presets that I make. Probably not native. I mean, sometimes I mean native stuff to Ableton Live, but more likely probably native instruments because that's kind of my main. I mainly use native instruments, and I want to do more shit with it, but I kind of just got to start doing it and seeing what happens and let it evolve on its own. So I'll put the link in the notes. And also, side note, if you did watch the original one, in the notes, all this information was on my website, but it's down because I'm redoing it. So it's going to be a while before it's back up. So you're probably just going to screenshot this if you need the information because I don't know if it'll all fit in the notes in YouTube. So that being said, I kind of went on a rant there for a minute, but that's the point of this, for you to listen to me. So what are we going to go over this week? If you did watch the last video, then we're going to go to talk about major 7 chords. If you didn't watch the last video, I highly suggest you watch the last video where we go over triads. I was going to go over both these in the last video, but it just kind of started getting really long. So also, I'm under the weather, so sorry if I'm congested, if I start sneezing or some... God, I don't even know. This is like the 9th time I've been sick this winter. It's shenanigans. But all right, let's get down to this. So we have 7 chords. What is a 7th chord? Like a 7 chord. Well, if you go over the last video, remember we did triads, which are made up of 3 notes. 7th chords are made up of 4 notes. So what kind of 7th chords do we have? We have a major 7th. We have a minor 7th. We have a minor 7 flat 5, which is the 7 chord of a major scale. We have a diminished, which is not in a major scale as far as 7ths go. It is in the triad scale though. But anyways, we have augmented, which is also not in a major scale, but it is a type of 7th chord that will be used as well in other areas. And then lastly, we have the dominant chord, which is the 5/7 of a scale. So what are they made up of? Let's actually listen to the chords and go through them really quick. I made the ones for the thirds and I made one for 7th. So if we just go back over again of what a third major scale is, a triad major scale is made up of, the first one being, come back to this, man, got to get better at that. There we go. We have 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, and a 7 diminished. So if we listen to it, you got your 1, and we went back. Oh no, we went back to the C on this one. So, but this is your 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, and then 7 diminished. Now if we go to 7 chords, as you saw on the list over here, there's some slight variations. Basically, when you add on the last 7th tone in these chords, it changes the name on some of them, because you still have, if you just have a triad on some of them, it's basically made up of a 7th. Like for example, the dominant. Where is it at? A dominant is a root, a major 3rd, and a perfect 5th, which is what a major chord is. But what makes it a dominant instead of a major is that you have the 7th, which is flatted, which creates a tension. So anyways, why don't we go through the structuring of these chords? So you have a major 7th. I should probably have put the 7th. Yeah, I didn't put the 7th there, but it should be there if you want to write things correctly. But you have it up here. So a major is made up of a root. We'll actually look at it on here in live. So you have your root, which is a C here. You have a major 3rd, again, like the triad, which is a major 3rd is 4 semitones. Chords are made up in thirds, so you know that they're either made up of major or minor thirds. which a major third is 4 half steps, a minor third is 3 half steps. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have your major third here. That's what really makes up a major chord. And then you have your perfect fifth, which we went over in the last video, so which is your G2, and then now you have your next third, which is another major third. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that makes up your one major, which you also have a 4 major in the scale as well. So that's a major chord. Now you have I wonder if it would be easier if we did it this way. That's a good idea. Why don't we do this? We're gonna call an audible here. I'm gonna paste this in. Okay. Probably have to duplicate this. Get rid of that. All right. Well, this is your major chord. So we'll just do them all in C's, so you can kind of see the structuring. So we're gonna drag this over here. So we have a C major is the first one, and then we're gonna make a C minor out of this. So what is this? What is a minor made up of? A minor is made up of a root, a minor third, so you're flatting or taking it down a half step, a perfect fifth again, and a flatted seventh. Again, you flat it, you take it back 1 half step, the 7th tone. So we'll go into live, and boom, you take your third and your 7th, bring it down a half step each, and now you have 1 major, and you have a 2. Again, this is in a scale though, you'd go to D, but we're just showing what the chords are made up of. So, shit, we're playing the wrong one. So that's major. Now you have minor. Okay, now we'll go to the next chord. What is another chord? You have a minor 7 flat 5. Now I kind of do it in this order because if you noticed, it just goes all there, and then you start flatting, and then you flat the 5th on this one. So basically a minor 7 flat 5 is the same as a minor 7, but you're flatting the 5th. So what it's actually made up of is a root, a minor third, and a flatted 5th is actually called a diminished 5th. And then you have a minor 7th. So we'll go into live again, and we'll copy this. And what we're going to do is, yes, you have your root, your third, and this is your 5th. We're going to flat your 5th, and now you have a minor 7 flat 5, which is this. It's a little more dissonant. So yeah, major, minor, minor 7 flat 5. Now we'll go to the next chord. That is another type of chord, which is the diminished. So now if you see, it's the same as the minor 7 flat 5, except we have a double flat on the 7. So we're gonna go back to live. So okay, what it's made up of is a root. Again, I'm repeating myself, but it's good to drill this shit in your head, then you'll remember it. Minor third, diminished 5th, and instead of a now we have a diminished 7th. Like 1 flat on a 7th is a minor, but when you double flat it, it is considered diminished. So you have root, minor third, diminished 5th, diminished 7th, and that is what makes up your diminished 7th. So let's go back to live. We'll copy this over again, and now we're going to bring our 7th tone down 1 more half step, and we have a diminished chord. So we'll just play through. You have a major, minor, minor 7 flat 5, and a diminished. So they get more and more dissonant as you hear, but the next chords are not going to be as dissonant. Diminished is pretty, goes about, can't even talk, goes the whole way. Let's see. All right, so let's just do the augmented. We'll go in order. So an augmented chord is made up of a root, a major third, an augmented 5th, which is a sharp 5th, which means you would just take the note and put it up a half step from basically what a major chord is. And then you have a flatted 7th again. So that's taking the 7th, which would be right here, and flatting it. So if we go back to live, we're just going to copy over the major this time. So we're going to take, you have your root, your major third you still have, and it's made up of a augmented 5th. So we're going to sharp the 5th of the chord, and then we're going to flatten the 7th. And that is what makes up an augmented. So you have kind of a weird tonality to it. So that's what your augmented is made up of. And then lastly, and again, I said augmenteds are not like native to any major scale. So, you know, we'll go over the scale again after this. But for now, we'll just start with the chords. All right, and we're going to drag this over one more time because we're going to do the dominant. And the only thing you do with the dominant is it's a flatted seventh. So let's go back. Where is it at? Okay, here. So your dominant is made up of a root, a major third, a perfect fifth, and a flatted or minor seventh. So we're going to go back to live again. We're going to take this, and now that's what you have. That is what makes up your dominant. So we'll play through these. It's really hard to hear because they're so... Let's see if I can put a gap in between them. That'll probably help. Just trying to make this as easy for you to hear and understanding, I guess. Like this stuff, I guess, is pretty daunting in the beginning, but the deeper you get into theory, it's like once you understand it, you're like, oh, it's not that complicated. But it's the understanding it part that takes a while. So, okay, you have your major chord, your minor, minor 7 flat 5, diminished, augmented, and your dominant 7. So the dominant does sound quite a bit like the major, but it has a little tension because the 7th. Now, what is special about these chords? If we go over here, now if we go to our 7th scale, you have, what is it made up of? It's made up of a 1 major 7, a 2 minor 7, so the same as here, but now they're 7ths, a 3 minor 7, so you still have a 3 minor here, but now it's a 3 minor 7. You have a 4 major 7, you have a 4 7 for the triad, but you have a 4 major 7 for the 7ths, and now this is where it changes. The 5 is now a dominant 7, so it's a 5 7, where on the triad it's just a major. It's because you don't have the 7th scale degree to create the dominant sound. So now it's a 5 7, a dominant. You have 6 minor 7, which again you get a 6 minor up here, so it's the same, just now it's a 7th chord. And then the last chord now becomes a minor 7 flat 5, rather than just a diminished. The beginning of a diminished is what would make up a minor 7 flat 5, but when you have this flatted 7th on as well, then it becomes a minor 7 with a flatted 5th. So that is what makes up your scale, like your major 7th chords. That is what makes up a 7 major scale. I guess we can go through and listen to it here. So we'll play it through again. I feel like putting a gap in between each one would be good too. Let's do this. Just kind of going with this thing here. Let's turn this off. All right, let's play it through. I think we're on the right one. Nope, we need to go here. So you have your major scale, 1 major 7, you got your 2 minor 7, you've got your 3 minor 7, your 4 major 7, your 5 7, your dominant, you have your 6 minor 7, and your 7 minor 7 flat 5. So we'll play this through. So that is your major 7th scale. I guess thinking about if we should go over something like this, it's kind of, I don't know how important it is. I feel like this alone might be quite a bit of information, because each of these kind of has their own characteristic. There's function types for these chords in music, and you can use them to swap, but I don't think I'm going to get into that currently. I think one thing I will go over is that the most stable tones, at least for major scales, that are diatonic to the scale, which means notes or harmony that is in the specified scale, are the 1, the 3, and the 6. These are the most stable tones because they do not contain scales degree of 4 or the 7. Those kind of tend to create more tension, which is where the dominance and then these subdominant 2 and 4 come from. So these chords are going to be kind of your happiest, most stable. The 2 and the 4 are considered subdominants, and they are less stable because they do contain the scale degree 4. And then the 5 and the 7 are considered dominants because they contain, and the 5 is called the dominant 7, and then this is considered a dominant as well because they both contain scale degree 4 and 7. And why is that important? What does that mean? If you know what a tritone is, that is what scale degree 4 and 7 makes up in a scale. It is very dissonant. It is like what police cars in Europe make that sound. So if we play it, if I pull up so you can see the keyboard. So it's these two notes here, at least for a C major scale. And the 5, which is going to be this chord right here, is going to be made up of those two. So you have scale degree 3 and 7 make up the tritone for the 5 chord of a major scale. And then the 7th would be, what am I doing here? I'm confusing myself. Yeah, so this time it's starting on the B, and the root and the 5th of the 7th tone in the scale create the tritone. So those have the most tension in a major scale. I kind of want to, it's a lot of information. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense. It should. I mean, if it doesn't, then it's something that I can go over at another point. But that is the information, at least for today, going over major scales. For the 7ths now, and then the previous video was over triads. So I hope this video helped. Like I said, gonna start up my Patreon, gonna start doing more interesting stuff with it. I just need to get it going, and showing support would be great. I'd highly appreciate it. I'll make it worth your while. I want to make this more interesting. I'll figure out ways to make it fun and not just like a boring ass how-to video. Like there's gotta be ways to make this more interesting. I'm gonna figure it out. So anyways, leave comments below. I'm sure there will be questions in the YouTube channel. Like I said, my website isn't up currently. So just leave comments there, and I'm usually really quick to answer back. Like I check my YouTube channel every day. So, and when I see comments, I comment back pretty much immediately. So until next time, have fun. I hope this helps. And we'll probably do some more theory and figure things out. And I'll kind of come up with more lesson plans.